Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today, breaking down the Manningcast. That's right. Monday Night Football was not great. In fact, a lot of the games this weekend weren't great, especially in prime time. But the Saints, they beat the Seahawks in Monday Night Football. But Sam, you and I were both watching a whole bunch of the Manningcast. Tom Brady was on there, Marshawn Lynch, Drew Brees, all sorts of fun stuff. So let's discuss the Manningcast and what you liked, what you didn't like, or what you learned coming out of it.
They were back the first time in, 4 weeks or whatever. They had a hiatus where they weren't doing this. Back. I love the Manningcast. Look, I'm not going to lie. The Monday Night Football regular broadcast booth is not my favorite, announcing crew in the NFL, covering the NFL. So any excuse to turn the channel to something else and yet still see Monday Night Football, I'm in. I also happen to be of the opinion that Peyton Manning is genuinely hilarious. Like, the man is a comic genius. Like, he has. Have you watched that Peyton's Places thing? His ESPN Plus series.
A little bit, yeah.
He's legitimately funny. He actually has good comic timing. He's witty. He understands how to crack jokes. So, frankly, just spooling him up on the Manningcast and having him tell stories is a win. I don't even care if they talk about the football much. It's on in the background. You see it anyway. But those guys telling stories with anyone that they get on is always a good time. And then this week, you had some pretty fun people coming on. Marshawn Lynch comes in and immediately breaks the barrier of, let's just start swearing and cussing on TV. Screw it. It's cable. Who cares?
Explain, how does that happen? Because the last Manningcast ends with, Eli Manning giving the double bird, breaking down Eagles fans, and it's we had 3 weeks to get the next guest. Let's get Marshawn Lynch in here. We know exactly what he's going to do. He's. Did you say Lattimore, by the way, earlier?
I hope not, but
okay.
I meant
definitely
Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
I did.
Marshawn Lynch, probably the most unpredictable guy that they've even had on there. So they took a chance.
Or most predictable, depending on. I mean, I would imagine the only way that happens is if you make a conscious decision beforehand that you don't care that he's going to drop several. He's going to drop an F-bomb towards the end. I'm now torn. Can I say the words that he said? He said shit several times on the
not here on the Daily
on national TV. That's what he did, and then he dropped an F-bomb towards the end of it. Then the Mannings had to come back and apologize for the language at the end of it. But
they just had to apologize 3 weeks ago for the double bird, and they double apology here.
But this, who cares? I think they've just reached this point where they're as long as we apologize, we can do whatever the hell we want. And honestly, you can. And then eventually you're going to realize you don't even need to apologize. Just do what you like. We're all adults. We've all, heard these words before. Get over it. So Lynch comes on. Lynch is freaking hilarious. Comes on immediately, tells him he had 3 shots of Hennessy before appearances. One for him, one for each of the Mannings. He was funny. And then, Tom Brady, Drew Brees on as well. Brady and Manning are good buddies, despite the kind of comic rivalry that everybody wanted to create from them. So they have a pretty good riff between the two of them and crack some jokes as well. And we found out that Tom Brady is ensuring that the fan that gave the football back is receiving a Bitcoin. It's unclear whether Tom Brady is paying for this Bitcoin, although given it's coming from whatever crypto thing that he's hawking, I would suggest not.
Which is at the moment currently trading at, let's see, Bitcoin trading at $62,700 plus here.
There you go.
So that's he's crawling his way back toward that 500,000 that he was supposed to get, supposedly, according to the dealer, on that football, the 500,000, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, okay, he's still short of 500,000, but he's making a pretty good haul at this stage, right? He's getting a couple of jerseys, a helmet, another jersey from Mike Evans. He's getting $1,000 worth of gift vouchers for the shop. He's getting season tickets for this year and next year, and he's getting a Bitcoin. I mean, it's not bad.
So Peyton and Eli, they have a lot of fun, of course, taking jabs at each other and at their guests and all that stuff. They tried to bait Tom Brady, right? They tried to bait him and say, okay, what's the coverage? And as I'm watching this, by the way, I was like, Patriots Tom Brady never gets to do this, right? If Tom Brady's still with the Patriots, he is never on the Manningcast. And now he's got this.
He's just not letting it happen.
Right? He's just got this freedom now that he's a Buck to get out there and actually, speak words about football. And I thought it was hilarious. Payne's like, "What's the defense that gives you the most trouble?" And Tom's like, "Oh no, I'm still playing here. I'm not taking that bait." He's like, it's the 2000 Dolphins. Back in 2005, they would always play the same fronts, the same coverage, and they mess with me a lot. It's like, oh yeah, that's real telling. Yeah, so like defensive coordinators are going to go fire up that Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor film, and find the key to stopping Brady.
That's the best part about this is there are going to be like several coaches for the next few weeks who are going to be digging out like 15-year-old Miami Dolphins tape to see nothing, to just see them running whatever defense they were running.
Oh, they stayed with their base 4-3 the entire time. I think that's the new strategy. That's how we're going to slow down the Bucs.
Okay, guys, we need to find a 350-pound nose tackle quick.
That's the way to stop Tom Brady. NFL fans, you hungry for a big win this week? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, they got you covered because new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL game to win their game. Any NFL team to win their game. And if they do, you win $200 in free bets. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's that simple. If Sportsbook's not available in your state yet, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF. Bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game, and you win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code PFF this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, go ahead.
One thing I found pretty interesting was when Tom Brady was on, and I think it was a 7-0 ball game, maybe it was 10 at that point, but they got all the way down to the shadow of the goal line, and it was like 4th and 3, and they had this discussion: do you kick the points or do you go for it? And obviously they were like, well, the analytics would say you do the anyway. But there was this, you got a glimpse into the mind of Peyton Manning, this has come up a couple of times during the Manningcast so far, and Tom Brady about whether you take the points or what your mindset is in this situation. And he was like, "Why do you want to go for it, Tom? 4th and 3 from 4th and goal from the 3." And you kind of assume at this point that all quarterbacks always want to go for it, right? Just the way they are. And Brady was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I think there's mileage in just getting some points on the board and all this kind of stuff. So he seemed to be big on the idea of just getting the 0 off the off the scoreboard. And Manning's big thing, and he said this a couple of times so far this season, is he seemed to always take into account how the sequence has been going up until that point. So if your drive has been like huge mistake play, like bad mistake play, loss of yards, and now it's 4th down, he's like, well, why would you think you're going to get the 4th down? The 3 previous plays have been a disaster. Like, get rid of the ball, start over. But it was just fascinating to see that like 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time were both pretty unanimously and conclusively, no, just kick the points. Don't even think about doing anything like that.
The funny thing about the Peyton strategy there is the last time he said that was the Cowboys game, and he was wrong because the first 3 plays were a disaster, and then the Cowboys went for it and scored. He was wrong for that particular one. The Brady one's interesting because it's really through the lens of just the offensive player, because he's like, we want to come away with points, because if they fail, he's viewing it and saying, we got 0 points if we don't go for it. He's not taking in the field position or the defense having to go, right? The offense having to go 97 yards in return or whatever it might be.
And not just got 0 points, but still have 0 points. Still like the idea that we're still blank, it seemed to be really big for him.
Big confidence, guys. So Peyton and Eli did try to set the bait for Drew Brees, who took it a little bit more. They asked him, what does this, because Drew Brees is broadcasting now, but it's funny, right? People have tried to replicate this second screen experience and all that, and the Mannings have nailed it, right? They're in different places, but this comfort level that they've achieved in their conversation, right? Drew Brees is on Sunday Night Football the night before, and it's like, I'm an announcer now. I have to say these things in a certain way, in a certain tone. They ask him, what's the Saints offense like? Is it different? He's like, same plays. Basically, hey, it runs a lot better when Drew Brees is the quarterback, not Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
He seemed disgusted by the Saints offense at times last night.
He did a really bad job of hiding his Like he did normally when you ask guys like that about the team they just come from, they do a pretty good job of like dressing up what they really think, and making
For
sure it's
sure.
fairly middle of the road and pacified for public consumption. Brees was pretty bad at hiding exactly what he thought about this offense and the guy presumably running it. Like he did admittedly give Jameis Winston some credit for work habits and, always studying and watching tape all the time I was. On the other hand, he was like, they gave him a chance to say, hey, Jameis Winston doesn't set the protection. It's Eric McCoy. It's a sender. How did that work with you? Was it the sender? Did you get a chance to edit it or what? And he's like, no. I set the protection every single play. Every play I was in New Orleans. I can't even imagine not setting the protections. So, there aren't too many ways of reading that. Then, I was setting the protection and I needed to do that, and he's not.
I mean, it's good insight you're really not going to get anywhere else, too. And it kind of shows maybe the Saints, what they're capable of doing with Brees versus with Jameis. It's just a little bit more limited. Even though we like Jameis throwing the football and his aggressiveness and these other things, it is a lot of those little things that did show up in this game. Taking a sack instead of just dropping off the screen pass late in the game and didn't come back to bite. But you see some of those little things maybe showing up.
Yeah, I will say, I think what the Manningcast does is show you that all the things that current TV football broadcasts try and do, the slick operation, the in, the out, the production values, the graphics, like everything we know to be a modern football broadcast. I don't know how much of it is actually necessary, right? And if you just get a couple of guys sitting there, even with like crappy production value, constantly like accidentally making a balls of going to the ad break and running over each other, none of it matters. If you just get a couple of guys sitting there who you're interested in, talking about the game, talking about anything that's even remotely connected to football, it's interesting. And honestly, it's more interesting than the thing they have on the main ESPN channel that I don't want to hear.
I wouldn't give the Mannings full credit for that. I think we've established that. We're just a couple guys unprofessionally talking about football. I cannot get into an ad read for the save my life. I got my kids' chairs in the background. My background's unprofessional, but we're just talking ball and people love it. And we love it too. PFF NFL Daily. See, look, I just ended it just like that.
Nice.
PFF NFL Daily.